just trying to block me. Everything was going against the sanction bodies, going against everything that people sit and tolerate. I wasn't tolerating it, so it's kind of like the black sheep, like, he's the bad one, get him out of here, we don't need him.
I think this is disgusting. I think this is musty at the highest level. Oh, Shakur Stevenson has been stripped.
Terence Crawford has finally broken his silence, and he's coming in hot. The boxing icon took to Instagram with a powerful message that rocked the entire sport, delivering a direct shot at the World Boxing Council. His words were biting, intentional, and laced with sarcasm. WBC, there's no way you all are still this upset. It's all good, bro. The ring belt was free. This wasn't just another post from a former fighter trying to stay in the headlines. This was Crawford diving headfirst into a controversy that's been building for months.
Makes you so motherfucking better than any other sanctioned bodies, huh? Answer that question. What makes you better than the WBO, the IBF, or the WBA? Everybody accepted what I was giving them. But you, the WBC, think that you better than everybody, don't you?
Terence Crawford is stepping up, defending his protege Shakur Stevenson against one of boxing's most influential organizations. The tension between fighters and sanctioning bodies has been simmering for years, but what's unfolding now is far more than the usual gripes about corruption and politics. This is personal. It's a battle fueled by revenge, double standards, and a conflict that could unravel the sport from within. What the WBC did to Shakur Stevenson mirrors exactly what they did to Crawford just months ago. And now, the boxing world is starting to connect the dots. The burning question is clear. Is this really about rules and regulations, or is the WBC punishing those who dared challenge their authority? To understand why Crawford is so fired up, we need to rewind to January 31st, 2026. The night Shakur Stevenson entered Madison Square Garden with everything on the line. At 28 years old, Shakur Stevenson from Newark, New Jersey, was about to face off against Teofimo Lopez, a fighter known for his explosive power, lightning-fast speed, and a confidence that teetered on the edge of arrogance. Lopez, the reigning WBO junior welterweight champion, entered the ring with most analysts favoring him to win. Stevenson, though technically brilliant, faced skepticism over whether he had the knockout power to hang with the elite at 140 pounds. Those doubts, however, were shattered in the opening minutes of the fight. Shakur Stevenson delivered a flawless performance, dominating nearly every round with a masterclass in boxing fundamentals. His jab kept snapping Lopez's head back, his footwork made him untouchable, and his ring IQ was on full display as he out-hot and outmaneuvered one of the division's most dangerous fighters. By the time the final bell rang, there was no room for controversy or debate. Shakur Stevenson had just claimed both the ring and WBO junior welterweight titles in one of the most complete performances of his career. More importantly, at just 28 years old, he became a four-time world champion, joining an elite group of fighters that includes Oscar de la Hoya, Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, Canelo Alvarez, and Terence Crawford. Achieving titles across four weight classes is a mark of greatness, proof of unparalleled skill, discipline, and the ability to evolve with every step of his career.
It was an amazing night. I put the work in. I stayed disciplined throughout my camp. I was in tremendous shape, and T.O., he's a hell of a fighter, but I was the better man tonight.
In the moments following his victory, Terence Crawford stood by Shakur Stevenson's side, celebrating with his protege as the crowd erupted in approval. The boxing world was buzzing. Shakur had reached the pinnacle of the sport, and his future seemed limitless. But that future was shattered just days later. On February 4th, 2026, the World Boxing Council dropped a bombshell that left fans, analysts, and Shakur himself in disbelief. In an official statement, the WBC announced it was stripping Shakur Stevenson of his WBC lightweight title, effective immediately. The timing couldn't have been worse. After the biggest win of his career, Shakur barely had time to savor the victory before the organization ripped one of his belts away.
That's right, Shakur Stevenson has been stripped of his WBC 135-pound belt, fresh off his absolute destruction and masterclass in ending Teofimo Lopez's career last Saturday night in Madison Square Garden with a beautiful display of boxing.
On the surface, the WBC's reasoning seemed clear-cut. According to their rules and regulations, a champion cannot hold belts across different weight classes with separate governing bodies, especially in divisions where they don't hold a WBC title. Since Shakur had now claimed the WBO junior welterweight title, the WBC argued he could no longer retain the lightweight strap. On paper, it makes sense. However, here's the issue: most fighters in Shakur's position are given time to make a decision. When moving up in weight and capturing a new title, sanctioning bodies typically grant a grace period to choose which division to focus on. Fans and analysts expected Shakur to have weeks, if not months, to weigh his options. Instead, the WBC acted swiftly, stripping him of the lightweight title just days after his monumental win, almost as if they had been waiting for the perfect moment to strike.
The WBC has stripped him now of his 135-pound title because he won the WBO title at 140. Shakur Stevenson made it abundantly clear that he's a 135-pounder. He's going up in weight just for situational fights.
Shakur Stevenson didn't even have the chance to properly celebrate before the WBC pulled the rug out from under him. Known for not staying silent when he feels disrespected, Shakur's response on social media was nothing short of explosive. He took to X, formerly Twitter, and let the WBC have it with a series of posts that were as direct as they were damning. His main claim was simple, but powerful. The WBC wanted him to pay $100,000 in sanctioning fees for a fight where their belt wasn't even involved. Let that sink in for a moment. Shakur fought Teofimo Lopez for the ring and WBO titles, but the WBC lightweight belt wasn't on the line, and Lopez wasn't even a WBC champion. The organization had no business in the fight, yet they were demanding a six-figure payment simply because Shakur held their lightweight title while moving up in weight to challenge for a different belt. In one of his most scathing tweets, Shakur wrote, "100K to some crooks who don't deserve it. Nah, Leilani, I'd rather give it to you, baby girl," referencing his daughter and making it clear where he thought that money should go. But Shakur didn't stop there. His next post cut even deeper. The WBC didn't even have a stake in this fight, and it's eating them alive. That line is crucial, as it reveals what Shakur truly believes is happening. This isn't about rules. It's about the WBC's bitterness at being excluded from one of the year's biggest fights, and now they're punishing him for it. The cherry on top came when Shakur pointed out, "And I just paid these dudes after my last fight," highlighting that he'd already fulfilled his financial obligations to the WBC after his previous bout. So, his question was completely reasonable. What the hell am I giving you all 100K for? Then came the accusation that would change the entire narrative. Because y'all got beef with Bud, so come at me for it. With that, Shakur connected his situation to something much bigger, a pattern of behavior from the WBC that had already cost the sport one of its greatest champions. His final message to the organization was bold and unapologetic. "Take your belt. It don't make me." Translation: he didn't need the WBC's validation. He was still a champion with or without them.
In a rush to do nothing. Can't give this dude a week to make a decision on what he wants to do next.
To understand why Shakur would accuse the WBC of having beef with Bud, we need to rewind a few months to one of the most controversial moments in recent boxing history. In September 2025, Terence Crawford did the unthinkable. He moved up to super middleweight and defeated the pound-for-pound king, Canelo Alvarez, to become the undisputed champion at 168 pounds. It was a historic feat that solidified Crawford's place among the greatest fighters of all time. He had conquered yet another weight class, dethroned the sport's biggest star, and once again demonstrated that his skill level was on an entirely different plane. The boxing world was still reeling from the magnitude of that victory when, in December 2025, the WBC dropped a bombshell. They announced they were stripping Crawford of his WBC super middleweight title, claiming he owed the organization $300,000 in sanctioning fees and had refused to pay. What happened next became one of the most talked about moments in boxing history.
Him $300,000 plus another $100K something for sanction fees, right? They ain't gonna tell me I ain't even apologize. Like, who the fuck you think I am? Boy, you better slap your fucking self and paying your ass shit. Fuck you talking about pay you $300,000.
Crawford's response was nothing short of explosive. He released a video that went viral within hours, and his words couldn't have been more direct. "Boy, you better slap your damn self. I ain't paying your asses," Crawford said straight into the camera, his frustration and anger unmistakable. "What the hell are you talking about? Pay you $300,000? It was raw, unfiltered, and exactly the type of response that turns a business dispute into a full-blown war." WBC President Mauricio Sulaiman tried to defend the organization's stance in multiple interviews, attempting to break down the fees. But Crawford's fiery retort had already set the stage for what would become a much bigger battle.
He did not comply with the rules, then he moves up to super middle and makes the fight of the century, beats Canelo, makes $50 million or around that. The WBC absolutely is not going to charge 3% of such an amount. We made a very clear 0.6%, which is $300,000.
According to Sulaiman, Crawford had earned roughly $50 million for the Canelo fight, and the standard WBC sanctioning fee would normally be 3% of that purse. However, Sulaiman claimed that WBC had been generous by slashing the fee all the way down to just 0.6%, which amounted to $300,000. He further explained that $225,000 of that total would have gone directly to the Boxers Fund, a charitable organization founded by his late father, Jose Sulaiman, which helps fighters in need. On the surface, this seemed reasonable, but Crawford wasn't buying it. His counterargument quickly exposed a major flaw in the WBC's reasoning, revealing a larger issue with their approach and the way they handled his case.
With $225,000 going to the Jose Sulaiman Boxers Fund, which is to help former fighters in need. And it is just regrettable, not even a thank you or I'm sorry, taking a different route. No response. I wish him the best.
Every other major sanctioning body, the WBO, the IBF, and the WBA had accepted the payments Crawford offered them without issue. They had no problem with the amount he provided. So why was the WBC the only organization demanding more? Why did they feel entitled to a higher fee than everyone else? Crawford's question hung in the air, unanswered. And his response was nothing short of dramatic, perhaps the most striking exit boxing had seen in years. Instead of continuing to battle with the WBC, Crawford announced his retirement from the sport. He walked away as an unbeaten 5-weight world champion and the first fighter in the 4-belt era to become undisputed in 3 separate divisions. His legacy was sealed, and his exit from the sport left an indelible mark.
If you've been taking your body through hell for 30 years, would you retire? All right then. So there go your answer. So that's why I retired. I gave my all to boxing, but I'm not going to give my health to boxing. If I was to come back, who would I fight? I'm asking you.
So say it's a good question.
All right, so there you go. There you go. I have nobody to fight. I have nothing to accomplish. So now I'm just coming back for the sport and just money.
It was a legacy that seemed untouchable, yet the WBC tried to tarnish it anyway. Social media erupted as fans and analysts began drawing parallels between what happened to Crawford and what was unfolding with Shakur Stevenson. The pattern became impossible to ignore. Both fighters were close friends and training partners. Both had been stripped of their WBC titles within months of each other. Both situations involved disputes over sanctioning fees. Both fighters had been vocal critics of the WBC, and its practices. The conspiracy theory quickly spread, gaining momentum. Was the WBC deliberately targeting fighters who dared to speak out? Was this retaliation, disguised as rule enforcement? Shakur's accusation that the WBC had a vendetta against Crawford and was now going after him because of it suddenly gained a lot more weight. The timing was too perfect, the circumstances too similar. If you believe in coincidences, then this was one hell of a coincidence. But if you believe that powerful organizations sometimes use their authority to punish those who challenge them, then what was happening to Shakur looked an awful lot like payback. The boxing community was divided. But one thing was undeniable: the WBC's credibility was taking a serious hit.
You put Lamont Roach at number 2. Shakur says, okay, I'm willing to fight Lamont Roach. And you strip him? This is why these sanctioned bodies are a joke. Look how long Gervonta Tank Davis held the WBA title. It's a joke.
Fans began questioning whether the WBC truly cared about the sport or was more focused on protecting their bottom line and reputation. Meanwhile, Terence Crawford had been watching the drama unfold from the sidelines. Retired but clearly still invested in the sport and in the career of his protege, he had remained silent for weeks, allowing Shakur to fight his own battle. But eventually, silence became complicity. Crawford reached that breaking point when he saw the WBC do to Shakur exactly what they had done to him. The retired legend couldn't stay quiet any longer. Crawford's Instagram post was expertly crafted to send a message without saying too much. He addressed the WBC directly with a line that was both mocking and defiant. WBC, ain't no way y'all are still this mad. It's cool, bro. The ring belt was free. The last part was a pointed jab at the organization's obsession with sanctioning fees, underscoring his frustration with their tactics.
So since you, the WBC, and you got the fucking green belt, which don't mean fucking shit, fucking real belt is the ring belt, which is free, motherfucker. Who you talking about? You want me to pay you more than the other sanctioned bodies because you feel like you better than them. How in the world all the sanctioned bodies agreed to the same amount, but you sit your motherfucking ass up there and say that I need to apologize to you?
The Ring Magazine Championship, one of the most prestigious titles in boxing, doesn't charge fighters a dime. You earn it through merit, not by paying fees to a governing body. Crawford was essentially saying, keep your expensive belts. The ones that actually matter don't cost anything, but the message to Shakur was just as powerful as the one to the WBC. By speaking out, Crawford was showing solidarity and support. He was telling his protege, I see what they're doing to you, and I've got your back. Crawford didn't just post once and move on. He retweeted all of Shakur's posts, amplifying his protege's voice and ensuring the entire boxing world saw what was happening. The subtext was unmistakable. The WBC was still bitter about Crawford's refusal to pay them. And now they were taking it out on anyone associated with him. And here's the most telling part of the entire saga: WBC President Mauricio Sulaiman, who had been so vocal in defending the organization during the Crawford dispute, remained completely silent in response to both fighters. No statement, no clarification, no defense, just radio silence. While the drama between Crawford, Stevenson, and the WBC unfolded, an even bigger threat was looming on the horizon. Mauricio Sulaiman was now fighting a war on multiple fronts. One of those fronts involved the most powerful promoter in combat sports, Dana White. The UFC president had recently launched Zuffa Boxing, a new promotional company with a bold and controversial promise: no sanctioning fees.
Is there going to be a Zuffa belt where, like, the winner of the Zuffa belt has a springboard into like Riyadh season and a championship fight, a Ring Magazine fight?
You and I have never talked about this, but the answer is yes.
Right, of course.
What will happen?
Of course, yeah. Right.
There will be a Zuffa belt, and then there will be a ring belt. And yes, I will not recognize any of the other sanctioning bodies.
Dana White made his position crystal clear in multiple interviews. If Zuffa Boxing took over the sport, he would eliminate the sanctioning bodies entirely. His argument was straightforward and compelling. These organizations didn't add value to the sport, they just took money from fighters. White's direct assault on the WBC and other sanctioning bodies struck a chord with many fans, who were fed up with seeing fighters lose a percentage of their purses to organizations that seemed more focused on collecting fees than on actually protecting the athletes. In response, Suleiman appeared on the Ariel Helwani show to defend the WBC and push back against White's claims. However, his argument came across as defensive and out of touch, failing to resonate with a growing number of fans and fighters who were increasingly questioning the role of these governing bodies in the sport.
Like they claim, there's no sanction fees in Zuffa. Of course there's no sanction fees because they take all the money. It's ridiculous. It's something that is very elemental. If you compare one to the other, it's not apples to apples.
The war has just begun, and the future of boxing is hanging in the balance. We want to hear your thoughts. Let us know in the comments below. And for the best updates on boxing news, moments, events, and all the action, make sure to subscribe to MMA Motive and turn on notifications so you never miss out on quality content. Don't forget to check out our other videos. Until next time, peace.